Hello guys, this is Divya and I'm back with another episode of Personalities. Today we will be discussing about former Prime Minister of India Rajiv Gandhi. Before I begin, I would like to request you to subscribe Aisha's channel if you haven't yet. Also, there are many video series coming in the coming month. So press the bell notification so that you never miss an update. Also, do not ignore the foundational videos which are very crucial for your UPSC preparation. If you have any doubt, any query, definitely it will clear all your doubts, it will bust all your myths. Also consider taking the test series which are very good, and it matches the standard of UPSC. Those who have taken the test series, they are getting benefited by it. Many positive feedbacks are coming from the students, those who have taken, and those are the students which are very serious. So every serious aspirant should buy the test series in order to do the self study, right? Okay, now let's begin. So Rajiv Gandhi was an Indian politician and he served as the sixth prime minister of India, and his tenure was from 1984 to 1989. He took office after the 1984 assassination of his mother, who was then Prime Minister Mrs. Indira Gandhi, and then he went on to become the youngest Indian Prime Minister at the age of 40. Now, let's know about his early life and his education. So, Rajiv Gandhi was born in Bombay on 20th August 1945, 44, I'm sorry, to Indira Gandhi and Firoz Gandhi, and he was admitted to Welham's Boys School, which is in Dehradun, and later Doon School, which is also in Dehradun in 1954. And from 62 to 65 he was admitted he took admission for an engineering course in the Trinity College in Cambridge, but he did not complete his degree there. And later on in 1966 he began a course in mechanical engineering at Imperial College London, but he could not complete this degree as well. And he returned to India in 1966, the year his mother, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, became the Indian Prime Minister. And then he went to Delhi and he became a member of Flying Club, where he was trained as a pilot. In 1970, he was employed as a pilot by Indian Airlines. In 1968, after 3 years of courtship, and then he married Albina Maino, and today we know her as Sonia Gandhi. Now, how he entered into politics? It is said earlier he was reluctant to enter into politics, but following the death of his younger brother Sanjay Gandhi, who was very much involved in the politics, after his death, he had to enter politics in order to support her mother, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. So, Rajiv Gandhi entered politics in 1981, and he became member of parliament the same year. After the assassination of Indira Gandhi by her Sikh bodyguards on 31st October 1984, it triggered violent riots against the Sikh community. Then President Zail Singh, he appointed Rajiv Gandhi as the Prime Minister, and he ignored the precedent of appointing a caretaker Prime Minister. And it is and that time snap polls, that is the elections, early elections were done, and Rajiv Gandhi earned a landslide victory, and he became India's youngest prime minister, and he assumed the office on 31st December 1984 at the age of 40. Rajiv Gandhi's initiatives as Prime Minister was based on Soviet Union's protectionist government policies, but he also enacted measures that decreased the taxes on the technology sector. He was very much invested in technologies, especially IT and telecommunications, about which we will know later on. And then he changed import rules in the telecommunications, defense, and commercial aircraft industries. The emphasis on economic liberalization and information technology in his resurrected foreign policy drew India closer to the West, especially US. The ties between India and US were getting better at this period. So, his investment into information technology and telecommunication in India. So Rajiv Gandhi, he is credited with introducing telecommunications to India. Together with Sam Pitroda, he led six technological missions in 1984, including telecommunications, water, literacy, vaccination, dairy, and oilseeds. And during his tenure, the government of India established Mahanagar Telephone Nigam Limited, that is MTNL, in 1986 to handle the telephone services of Delhi and Mumbai, that is Mahanagar metros, and then Videsh Sanchar Network Limited, that is VSNL, which was founded in the same year. It was to cater to the international communication services. So his focus was on communication, improving the communication infrastructure. And then the very famous for every, and that too very crucial for UPSC aspirants, anti-defection law. So during his tenure, this very law was drafted, and this bill was passed, and it became an act that was known as anti-defection law, and it was the 52nd amendment to the constitution, and it found its place in the 10th schedule of the constitution. Now moving ahead, now his intervention in Sri Lankan civil war. So those who have read already, they know that there was tension between the majoritarian Singhali government, Singhali people, Singhali community, which is in Tamil Nadu, and who are basically Buddhist. They are majorly Buddhist. They are Singhali, and there is a minority, that is Tamil minority. Those who speak Tamil, and there is some tensions between them. It is said that the government prefers the majority community, that is the Singhali community, and they are very biased towards the Tamil population there. So this led to the tensions between those two communities, which is going on till now also. But during that time it was heightened, and there was also one force, that is Liberation Tamil Tigers of Elam, that is LTT. So now let's know more about it, and what was the role of Rajiv Gandhi in that. So following the 1971 Indo-Pakistan War, there was a rise of organized Tamil opposition in Sri Lanka. So in 1976, the LTTE rose to prominence, and among other things became the major fighting faction. This resulted in the dearth of food and supplies, and Rajiv Gandhi had to face the domestic, that is the Tamil population is present in India as well. We have a state, that is Tamil Nadu. So people in Tamil Nadu, they pressurized Rajiv Gandhi because they wanted to help their brother and sisters, Tamil brother and sisters in Sri Lanka. So they pressurized him, and then Rajiv Gandhi had to supply relief to the Tamils in Sri Lanka. So on Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi's orders, food and supplies were dropped in certain areas, especially those tension affected areas. And then Rajiv Gandhi and then Sri Lankan President, Jayawardene, they signed Indo-Sri Lanka Accord. And this accord came as a shock to everyone, because the Tamils, they in India as well as in Sri Lanka, they kind of felt cheated, that that the Indian government is actually supporting the majoritarian Sinhalese government in Sri Lanka. So this accord, it said that it agreed upon that India will be sending a peacekeeping force to fight, to pacify the LTT group, right? So it will send a force to Sri Lanka to help control the situation and protect the peace. So Rajiv Gandhi, he dispatched Indian peacekeeping force to ostensibly disarm the Tigers, that is LTT. So LTT retaliated on this, and retaliated on this Indian paracommandos, and murdered them. And there were many human rights crimes committed during that time. And and that superior saw the peacekeeping force, they had to engage with the LTT, and there were many human rights crimes committed. So Indian forces had to withdraw from Sri Lanka because of that. Now this led to the assassination of Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, because as I explained earlier, the Tamils really felt betrayed, that Indian government, especially his government, is supporting the majoritarian government there. So Rajiv Gandhi's last public meeting was on 21st May 1991 at Sri Perambur. He was campaigning, right? He was campaigning for the Sri Perambur Lok Sabha Congress candidate. During that time, what happened? At 10:10 p.m., a woman named Tenmoli Rajaratnam, who was the member of LTT, she approached Rajiv Gandhi in public, and she greeted him. and then she bent down to touch his feet and detonated a belt laden with RDX explosives tucked under her dress. This explosion killed Rajiv Gandhi, Rajratnam as well, and 14 other people. Rajiv Gandhi's mutilated body was airlifted to All India Institute of Medical Sciences, that is AIMS in Delhi, for postmortem reconstruction and embalming. Then a state funeral was held for Rajiv Gandhi on 24th May 1991, and it was live telecasted, and it was attended by dignitaries for over 60 countries. And he was cremated at Vuir Bhumi on the banks of River Yamuna near her younger brother and her mother's where they were also cremated. So, with this, we have come an end to this episode. Rajiv Gandhi's tenure as Prime Minister was also embroiled in many controversies, which I didn't cover here because it will take a very long time. For example, Bofors scam, which was a defense deal, and then especially the anti-Sikh riots, which happened during his tenure after the assassination of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, and then also there was Shah Banu case, uh, uh, right? Because his government reversed the order of Supreme Court. So with this, we have come an end to this episode. Hope you enjoyed it, and please watch these videos, share these videos as much as you can. Let's meet in the next one.